Let's start. Om Sahna Vavatu Sahno Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganapati Gam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आन शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. And then the Namaste Tattwabodha of the text. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattwabodho Vidiyate. Tattwabodho Vidiyate. We are starting this class on Tattwabodha. This is the 9th class in sequence, and we have done till now what we were discovering was the portion on Atma and Atma Vivek, what is Atma and what is not Atma. And from what is not Atma, we separated 11 components there. Of course, they are very intermingled and interrelated to each other. So as we have seen, there are 3 sharirams, 3 bodies, Sthul, Sukshma and Karan Shariram. There are the 3 states of experience, that is the Jagrit Avastha, the Swapna Avastha and Sushupti Avastha. And then finally the Panch Kosha, the 5 layers of our personalities or the 5 sheaths. Okay, so all these combined to make 11 components, which we say are not Atma. These are the covers of Atma. How, whether Atma can be covered or not, that also we shall discover later on. But for now, we have taken a short glimpse into the nature of the Atma, and we have overall seen what are these Anatma or the transactional elements of the things that we usually involve ourselves with. The instruments that we use for our transactions and the transactions that we do with the world around us, all this is what is being taught here. And through this, by indicatory means, we reach into the Atma, which is our own self, which is nothing different, which is nothing special or something unreachable. It is our own true nature, but it is clouded by our perceptions, which is why we are not able to make a right decision about what it is, right? So we'll just have a look into the text here again so that we can maybe read. Just share it onto the screen. So we were looking at the 3 avasthas, avasthatrayam. Huh? So avasthatrayam, Sthul Sharir, Abhimani, the Jagrit Avastha, Sukshma Sharir Abhimani, the Swapna Avastha, and then finally Sushupti Avastha. Sorry. So we've done the first 2 and we'll look into the third one. So first 2 in short, the Jagrit Avastha, the waking state, where we experience all the objects around us. And if we see other texts, then we have seen, like in the morning we were looking with my other friends here, we're looking at Mandukya Upanishad. So there we saw that Om is the source of everything. So the Matra is the one from which the whole Jagrit Prapancha, this whole Jagrit universe emerges. So that basically represents the vibration that is imparted. So all the objects of the waking state are born out of vibrations. They are made up of different kinds of vibrations, and all these vibrations make these objects that we see or experience outside of us, right? Outside of us in the sense as we perceive our body to be myself, right? So then, uh, finally, when we go into the Swapna Avastha, there we see clearly that all the thoughts that I see as have created a new universe around me. That world is the Swapna Jagat. So that Swapna Jagat I identify with, I uh, think of myself as that Swapna Jagat only. So that gives me a more clearer insight that all the thoughts that I saw in the waking state, which are mere objects, merely vibrations appearing as objects, all those thoughts within me, they are emerging from within me only. And they are capable of creating another world within myself also. That means that everything that I see outside is also of the nature of thought, because I take in all those experiences as a thought. So all the thoughts are arising from within me only. So that means that all the thoughts belong to my subtle body. That means they are within me only, which means I am the creator of the world, right? Inside it is the world of thoughts, outside it is the vibrations through which I have created, expressed all my desires, and those desires express as finally objects. And then finally, we are looking into the third avastha. So there, this is the Sushupti avastha. This we will identify with the Karan Shariram, which we saw earlier in quite a bit of detail, right? Karan Shariram. So what is this Sushupti avastha? Ataha Sushupti avastha ka. So aham kimapi na janami sukhen maya nidra anubhuyata iti Sushupti avastha. Karan Sharir Abhimani Atma Pragituchyate. So this is the description of the deep sleep state, Sushupti Avastha. So as earlier the teacher has described all the avasthas, उन्होंने सारी अवस्थाओं को बताया. He told them in name form. So obviously the student will want to know more details. So he will ask questions, and the teacher is very benevolent. He is answering every question in full detail so that nothing is left that is of any doubt. So what he is answering, aham kim apina janami, and then sukhena maya nidra anubhuyata iti sushupti avastha. So in this sushupti avastha, there are two experiences. What are these two experiences? The first one is aham kim api na janami. I do not know anything. There is no knowledge of any sort occurring in that state. Why? Because it is associated with, as we see in the next part, Karan Sharir Abhimani Atma Pragyap Ityuchyate. So what is Karan Sharir Abhimani? Karan Sharir Abhimani is the causal body we saw earlier. So what is the nature of that causal body? In that causal body, all the vasanas reside, and they are in what we call Prajnanadhana Avastha. They are in the state of total oneness. There is no separation of the thoughts from each other. So when there is no separation of the thoughts, all of them are what we call in the unmanifest causal state. Unmanifest causal state. In that causal state, all those thoughts are in one single unit. And so it is impossible to separate one from the other, because there the mind is not available to pick up. What does the mind do? Sankalpa vikalpatmakaha mana. That is the definition of mind. So what does it do? It picks up the different thoughts from the available, what we call huge storehouse of our subconsciousness, which is this Karan Sharir. So that subconsciousness contains all thoughts, but it needs someone, some conscious entity to pick up those thoughts. So the mind is in itself not conscious, it is jada, but it is reflecting consciousness. So by nature of that, just like a robot can run on batteries, the robot itself doesn't have any energy or any power of its own, right? It borrows the power from the battery. Similarly, The mind borrows the power from the consciousness, and it is able to illuminate the shine a light, the light of consciousness, not this physical light. So it is the light of consciousness that is shown on the Karan Shariram. The Karan Sharir then yields, or from it different thoughts come to the surface, and they are expressed in the waking state, and of course later on in the sleep dream state. So this all these thoughts being inseparable from each other, there is what we call no triputi. There is no triputi. What is triputi? Any knowledge we saw can be known through the knower, that is the conscious part. Then there is the instrument, and then there is the finally the known object. So the instrument, object, and consciousness, these three will always be there, or the knower, known, and knower, known, and instrument. All these three components need to be there for any kind of knowledge to occur or to express itself. So this knowledge to be expressed need this triputi. In this Karan Sharir Abhimani Avastha, there is no illumination, there is no separation, there is no duality. Duality is there are two things. Two things, then there can be interaction. When there can be interaction, then that knowledge can be there, right? Of course, in between, you need a connection, which is the instrument. So, aham kimapi na janami, that state of me not knowing anything is there. Then what is the second one? Sukhen maya nidra anubhuyata iti sushuptyavastha. This short sentence carries within it two information, two kinds of information. What is the two kind of information? First is the nature of this sushupti avastha. That is the state when I am in a state of joy, sukha. There is no vritti, there is no thought to disturb me. I am in a state of total relaxation, nothing to disturb me, no bad thoughts to create any kind of waves in my mind. So when that is there, then I am experiencing a joy, where that is why we all like to sleep. Is there anyone who doesn't like to sleep? Everyone wants to, because when we get tired, we all need that to refresh ourselves, right? So when we are able to refresh ourselves, that nidra, when we experience, then this, when we wake up, we feel refreshed and able to continue. So what is happening here? What is happening here is, for every day, we have allocated a certain set of vasanas, certain set of thoughts that are going to come to the surface. Once all that set of thoughts is used up or exhausted, or my body has no more capacity to hold on or exercise any vasana, then what will happen is my body and mind will go into a state of relaxation, right? Initially, it will be the dream state where some thoughts are still left over. They keep churning in my mind, the ones that are very prominent, ones that have left a deep impression on my mind, or the ones where my mind is going back to and picking up something from the past, it is able to relive. So if it is from the distant past, then there will be some impulse from the current time which will generate that thought. There will be some memory that will connect you there. So it can be from the distant past also, but that also only when there is a recent impulse, right? So in this way, when we finally all those thoughts are exhausted, then we reach into the deep sleep. Then in that deep sleep, we are able to relax. So it is sukha avastha, right? So now, first of all, we have to know what is there during the sushupti avastha. So mind is gone, all the thoughts are gone, the body is no more experiencing anything, right? So even some people have a tendency to walk in the sleepwalking is there. So sleepwalking also it is a state of dream state only, where part of the body is active by some sanskara and it is able to move around, but still the body is not experiencing anything. I will not remember anything of that state, right? But in deep sleep, deep sleep, there is total absence of any kind of experience. So unless someone, unless you have finished your samskaras for the day, once you have finished the samskara for the day, the next ones, the thoughts, impressions for the next day will arise in the morning and you will wake up. Anything that is left to do and any other things that are there in your to-do list, they will make you wake up. Or some prarabdha of yours where some person will wake you up when you are not, you are sleeping deep. So all those kids who don't like to wake up early, their parents, they wake them up. Utho, utho, kuch kaam karna hai, kuch padho, something you have to do. So they will wake them up, and those kids will have to go for will have to start their day earlier than they had planned, right? So in that state, we are seeing what the consciousness is of course present all through that time, and our prana is also there. Prana is moving because our breath is moving, right? A live breath is there. Otherwise, we will not wake up. So that consciousness is moving the breath, because without consciousness, no energy can move. So that energy, because this prana is basically energy. So energy is moving within us. That energy keeps us moving and alive. And the consciousness is there. So how do we know that the consciousness was there at the time? So this is what this technical word for that we use is pratyabhigya. Pratyabhigya. So what is this pratyabhigya? Pratyabhigya is the thing where pratyabhigya is where you can say the experiencer, the one who experienced something, and the rememberer are the same. So, like a very common story is told, you meet someone who is like you have met after 15, 20 years or something like that. So that person comes up to you and he says, do you recognize me? So you say, no, I don't recognize you. And then that person will say, we studied in that same school. We graduated together. We were together. We went out together. We had lots of fun. He will tell you all tales. And then suddenly you remember, oh, yes, you are that person. Yes, yes, yes. You are Raghav or whatever name. And then together you'll relive the stories and then you'll slowly remember the things that were there. So now what is happening is you were not there to experience the changes. Raghav was in your school time, he was very thin. Probably he has now grown a pot belly. Maybe he has had a full head of hair at that time. Now half of his hair are disappearing from there. So this person that you met is someone who is really going to be totally different from what you have seen from that time, right? So when you meet this person, that person knows because he has been the observer of his own change of states all the time. He knows that what he was then, for him, he'll still be there. But you don't know because you were not the experiencer, right? He was the experiencer. But he tells you something to connect you from that time to now, and you are able to connect. Yes, this is the same person. So why? Because you know that he is the experiencer and he is the rememberer. So same thing happens in the state of deep sleep also, right? So in the deep sleep state, we saw what was being described. Sukhena maya nidra anubhuyatah. So I was able to experience deep sleep. That is something that tells you that my consciousness was there all that time, and that is why I know that experience that that I was able to sleep well. I slept well. That is what we call the inference through pratyabhigya, that the consciousness was present at that time. It didn't register the information on the mind because the mind was absent, but the information then is passed on to the mind as soon as it wakes. And so I am able to know that I slept well. Second way of knowing is what we call Anuman Pramana. So we have in Nyaya, we have different kinds of pramanas, ways of knowing. Pramana is a way of knowing. So there are different kinds of pramanas. Maybe we'll look them up sometime. But just to know in short, first is the Pratyaksha Pramana. Something that I see directly, That is called direct inference, right? Then in that, I can directly observe an object and tell the nature of that object, and I will be able to see it and describe it. Second is anuman. Infer, right? So there the common example given, like the one given in Nyaya Sutras also, is that there is a fire on the hill. I am not able to see the fire. I know that I can see only some smoke coming out. So I make what we call a vyapti. I make a connection. Vyapti is a connection. What is that vyapti? Wherever there is fire, there is smoke, right? So if there is some smoke coming out, that means there would have been some fire, right? Of course, I should know to distinguish between fire and mist or fog, but yeah, that is besides the point. What is being said is the fire is something I will be able to see from afar. I am not seeing the fire actually. I am seeing only the smoke, and from that I am able to make an inference. So that is the Anuman Pramana. Then other Pramana is what we call Upaman Pramana, uh, understanding through an experience of my own to the experience of someone else. So that is Upaman Praman. So there, what is there? A thorn pricked me and I felt pain, right? Then I see someone else walking along and then suddenly a thorn pricks him. And suddenly I say, something. I feel that pain. I can feel the pain of that other person. Why? Because by comparison to what I've experienced, I can infer what someone else is feeling, right? Some people are more in tune with people around them. They can sense even the mental pain of that other person. They can even sense by looking at their facial expressions, they can tell what someone is thinking or what someone is feeling. So all that comes under Upaman Praman. Some of your experiences which will generate some kind of response, maybe something on your face or something on another person's face. Uh, So later on, when that same expression comes, you can tell, yes, this is what that person is experiencing. So that is Upaman Praman. And then one is the fourth and one very important one is Shabda Praman. So Shabda Pramana, in a basic sense, it is someone else's experience, someone has described it to you, you have not seen it, and the person tells you, I went to the jungle and there is a new lake being created over there, and it's very beautiful. Maybe we should all go out sometime. So when then later on you go and experience it yourself, but the person is reliable, known to you, and you accept the word of that person as truth. In a higher sense, the Shabda Pramana is the word of the Veda, what we call it. There is nothing more reliable than the words of a Rishi, whose chitta, whose mind is very, very pure. So that person's word is considered as the word of God himself. He is able to listen to the Vedic verses within himself, and we call the Vedic verses also as Shabda Pramana. They are also Shabda Pramana. And then there is another one, Arthapatti, inferring the from looking at the effect, we infer the cause. Like when we see outside and we see there is some water on the street. So we also look up at the sky and we see some clouds. It is not raining right now, but I can infer it rained sometime back during the night or when I was not observing it, right? So in this way, we are able to tell a lot of, make a lot of information, know some information through all of these forms of knowledge. There are other also sub classifications of these five. Some add a sixth, some reduce to only four, some consider only everything comes under Pratyaksha Pramana. But right now, let us stick to our Anuman Pramana. So what is our Anuman Pramana saying? Our Anumana Pramana is saying that there was this time when I was sleeping and I am waking up refreshed. That means I had a good sleep. So from Anuman Praman also, I can tell that I had a good sleep and there was someone experiencing that good sleep. So that is why that feeling of freshness is there. So through these two ways, we can tell about the all of these Anuman Pramanas. Okay, so and we can know about the state of Sushupti. So there is not too much to be said about the Sushupti Avastha, but there are some very important what we call corollaries we can learn from this Sushupti Avastha again. So we have seen, of course, that uh, the two main factors, total ignorance, aham kimapi na janami, and the experience of joy, sukhena maya nidra anubhuyata. So there we call it the karan sharir abhimani. The I associate myself, I identify myself with the karana sharira. I think of myself as the karan sharira. We talked about abhimana earlier. So that means when I see something, when I experience something functioning through any object or instrument, I identify myself, I think of myself as that object itself only. Right? I'm unable to separate myself or my soul or my atma mm, from the centers through which it is expressing itself. Right? So Karan Sharir Abhimani, and there is a name for that, it is called Pragya. So what is Pragya? We saw in Karan Sharir also, Prakarshena Agya, pra plus Agya. The pragya is pra plus gya. That is state of knowledge. And this is the reverse of pragya. This is pragya. This is the state of no knowledge, when no information is available there. So all of these
Pragya means no knowledge.
no knowledge, pragya. There is an a in between. So that a in between indicates that it's a state of no knowledge. So in pragya, we have all of these conditions where we have no knowledge occurring, and also we are able to refresh ourselves and have the joy of sleep when no other fears of the world is there. Okay? So there is one more thing. The Mundak Upanishad and many other Upanishads, they say, where does fear come from? Dvitiyat bhayam bhavati. From duality comes fear. Fear can only come when there is me and there's something separate from me. When there is nothing separate from me, then there is no fear. So in that state of deep sleep, there is no fear. I am totally without any fear, I am totally fearless, right? So that is one more thing. So what are the things to be learned from these? First of all, from Jagrit Avastha, we can learn everything is of the nature of vibration. All the objects are produced of vibration. From Swapna Avastha, I can see that I can absorb all of those vibrations into me. So that means they are only occurring from within me. They have come out from within me only, from my thoughts only. And from the state of deep sleep, I can understand that the whole universe dissolves into me only. Right? At the individual level, yes. But later on, when I understand myself as Atma, as everything, as I see myself as the whole of universe within me, then the function of Ishvara also collapses into me. What is the function of Ishvara? He is manifesting the world for the jivas. For whatever the sankalpas, the samskaras, the karmas of the jivas are there, according to them, he manifests a world. So that world also is coming actually because of the jiva only. But the jiva is not separate. The consciousness that is functioning through the jiva is the same consciousness that is functioning through Ishvara also. So if we look at myself from the angle of consciousness, then uh, everything is collapsed into me only. So now, what is the common thing that is going through this? I see that the me or the consciousness is common through all of these three states, right? And if there were any break, if I were changing, then I would not be able to experience. If I were changed, then it will not I will not be able to experience these states in a continuously. When am I able to? Like, let us say I'm taking a class, right? So I'm taking a class and students are coming and going, coming and going. Some students have come early, some have joined in the middle, some have joined late. So I know all of the students that are coming. I was there all of the time during the class, continuously. Similarly, Atma, the soul or the consciousness, is present all of the in during all the three states. That means I am different from all of these three states. That is very clear understanding that we can develop if we think carefully of this three states, right? So that means, first of all, I am separate from these. Secondly, I am not changing. It is these states that are changing. So I am unchanging, right? So if I am unchanging, then these states can have no effect on me. I only imagine that they affect me. Nothing can affect the Atma. There can in fact be no even thought. All thoughts belong to the mind. So Atma is separate from all of these three. Right? And then let us come to one more interesting thing. Right? So when I think of myself, what do I visualize? What do all of you think when you think of yourself? The body, this body is me, right? We all think of this myself as this body. I am this. हाँ, आप कौन हो? ये हूं मैं. And associated with all the qualifications that you have, all the studies that you have done, all the work experience that you have had, all that is done through this body, right? This is what I think of myself. And what is the rest? The rest is the world. Outside of me is the Jagat, right? So what does the Jagat include? The second person also, the third person also. They are also Jagat. Hmm. Right? So that means I am me and the rest is the Jagat. Now, for that other person, he is me and the rest is the Jagat. So what is common here? The common thing is the our body. We cannot see each other's consciousness. We can see only each other's body. That means we don't realize that it is our body also that is within this Jagat. It is the body also. So I am the consciousness only within me. This body, in fact, is actually a part of the world only. And the world we have seen is mithya, the world we have seen is changing, the world we have seen is going to end, but this consciousness is going to stay forever, even after the end of this body. The body goes again, this consciousness will still be around. It will push the Sukshma Sharir onto the next body. Right. So this means that when we study the three avasthas, this avasthatraya vivek, I'll just go back to the previous starting point and you will notice what we can learn or what we might have missed. So let us go back. Avasthatraya. Sure. These are the three states of now I'll just go back again. Atma Kaha. So Atma Kaha. What is this Atma? Sthul, Shukshma, Karan, Sharir, Vyatirik. It is separate. Then Panch Koshatit San, away from the. Then Avastha Traya Sakshi. It is the witness of the three avasthas, right? It is the witness of the three avasthas. That means it is something separate. It is seeing the three avasthas. So here it's not just saying something separate from the three avasthas, but it is something that is the witness. That means the consciousness is witnessing. It is going through all the three avasthas without itself having changed, not even a little bit, not even an iota. The Atma does not change. The consciousness does not change. Of course, Atma is Satchit Anand, and they all will combine as one. We'll see later. But right now, we just hold on to the idea of the Atma as consciousness, right? It is the consciousness within me. So this Avasthatraya Viveka leads us to the fact, leads us to the knowledge that this three avasthas are just a projection upon my own self, but projection by my Atma, on my Atma, you can say. And therefore, the common source that is running through them, what we call the Sutra. In the Gita, there is Sutre Maniganaiva. This Atma is like a thread that is passing through all the beads, the beads of a pearl necklace or a necklace. So it is like the thread, it is going passing through each of them. And all these necklaces consist of all our experiences in the world. Right? So in this way, in this manner, the Atma is the common thread going through all of these three avasthas. And so we have looked at the avasthatraya vivek. And now we go into the next part, which was left out. Actually, it was mentioned in the middle only, but it is now mentioned here, which is the 5 layers of our personality, right? The 5 layers of our personality. So what are these 5 layers of our personality? Let us. Panchakoshaha ke Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya cha iti. What are the five koshas? Panchakoshaha ke. So what are these five sheets? Well, the five sheets are the five layers of our personality, right? They are the five layers which cover us. And we will see a few qualities about these. First of all, just name them and then I'll tell about the qualities. So, Annamaya. Annamaya is the food sheath, the gross body, the body through which we transact with the world. In actually, these are the three sharirams only, but this is described from a functional standpoint. Just like we have one country, India. Now you can divide it into four corners like the east, west, north, south. You can divide it into the number of states. 30 states are there, and then you can divide it into zones, like the railway has 9 zones. A lot of different, lot of functional functional partitions you can make. So the country remaining the same, we can divide into different parts, right? So from the angle of functions, we have the Annamaya part. Annamaya, we'll look in more details later on. Then Pranamaya, the pranic part. Manomaya, the mind. Then the Vijnanamaya is the intellect, the buddhi. And then Anandmaya, it is it is the Karan Sharir only itself. It is the most subtle part. So first of all, we will see clearly that as we move down from the Annamaya to Anandamaya, we see that they all uh, move from gross to subtle, just like the five elements. Just like the five elements, the most gross is Annamaya and the most subtle, most sukshma, सबसे सूक्ष्म जो है, the most subtle one is Anandamaya. And Annamaya is the most gross. It is the grossest. सबसे स्थूल है, right? And then the more we go inner, the inner one controls the outer one. So we'll look at this also later on. Whatever is more inner, it controls the outer one. Of course, we can understand this also from what is subtle. It will pervade the other thing, and so it will envelop it, and we'll be able to control it. Right? So just like space, within space is all the other elements, and so on. So in this way, the five koshas represent all our five sheaths. So what is first? Let us look at the sheath. What is the sheath? The sheath is something that covers something. Just like there is a sword and you insert it into sheath. So the sword is no longer visible, right? So no sword is no longer visible. So we have to understand first that the five sheaths, what are they covering? They are covering the Atma. They are removing from our view the actual source of everything, that is the Atma. I am not able to see that, even though it is present very all the time. The knowledge that I am and I exist is always with me. But I don't see it because in the Upanishads they say Brahma ji has made the five Jnanendriya Bahirmukhi. So they are directed outwards. So they are unable to see inwards. The sense organs are unable to see inwards. Also because what is inside is more subtle than the sense organs themselves. So how can it see them? Right? So the sense organs are less subtle than the Atma. So they cannot see. So what we saw a rule earlier, Swatmani Kriya Abhavat. What is the source of anything that cannot be perceived by something that is grosser than it? Right? So like just like the torch light cannot illuminate its own battery. So Swatmani Kriya Bhavat. Or this tip of the finger cannot act on this tip itself. It will act on something else only. Right? So anything cannot act upon itself. Swatmani Kriya Bhavat. So something that is the source of all of these, they cannot act upon their own source, their own Karana. Of course, Atma is beyond Karan, that we'll see also later, but still, everything is projected on the Atma. So that is why nothing can change or act upon or move the Atma. Right? So all these are the five sheaths that they hide from us. Now, how do they hide from us? Right? How do they hide from us? The hiding is not something, as I said, Atma is always available for us. It is never moving out of our sights. But in the form of the knowledge that I am and I exist. It is always available to us. But we don't see it. So the effect is like the sheath is not like the objects are not bigger than the Atma. Something bigger only can hide. Right? If I'm covering something with a blanket and hiding it, then I can hide only when the blanket is bigger than the object, right? But Atma is larger than everything. So how they can hide? So that hiding is in the form of uh, our diversion of our attention from what is the source to actually what in what form it appears. We focus more on the form. Just like I cannot I don't notice the sea ocean, but I notice the wave. I see the waves moving, I see the waves, and I don't think of the ocean. It doesn't appear to. Or I look at the pot and I don't think of the mud. I see it as a pot or whatever shape it has taken. The shape the shape it is covered by our mind. Our mind takes the shape of the object, and our mind gets totally engrossed in the shape, and therefore it identifies with the shape. It thinks of the shape only, and therefore we are not able to perceive. But when we turn our attention carefully, we can also see. Yes, there is the sea. It is the ocean only which is appearing as the wave, or whatever different forms it appears. There's the bubbles, as the foam, and a small wave, big wave, and whatever. Or similarly for the mud appearing as different kinds of utensils, or gold appearing as different ornaments. So as we saw, the material is the reality. The shape is just a projection. So I cannot ask you to, you are wearing a very beautiful necklace, and I cannot say, you give me the gold and you can keep the necklace. You can't, because the shape is an imposition on the object only, right? So the gold can never be taken out of the necklace, right? So the necklace depends upon the gold for its existence. So you've seen this example multiple times. So all of these sheaths, they do not hide the Atma as actually a covering, even though we name it as a sheath, but they hide it by taking away our attention, and we look at the form rather than the actual source from which it is or from which it is appearing, right? So in this way, these five sheets are able to hide from us our Atma. So Annamaya, the gross body, Pranamaya, the pranic body, which the pranic healers use when they focus on to heal ourselves of our energies. And then Manomaya, all our thoughts, vrittis, Vijnanamaya, whatever our mind decides, and Anandamaya, the state of experiencing the joy of objectlessness. When there is no object, I experience a joy that is called Anandamaya Kosha. So we look at the first one now. Annamaya Annarasenev Bhutva Annarasenev Vriddhi Prapyam Annarupa Prithivyam Yad Viliyate Tat Annamaya Kosha Sthula Shariram. So what is this Annamaya Kosha? So Annamaya Kosha is described here as the something that is born out of Annam. Anna raseneva bhutva. So what is Annam? Annam is food, right? Food. So anything that is born out of food. So first of all, what is the source of that? Rasa is the reproductive part of the humans, right? It represents in the male, it represents the sperm. In the female, it represents the ovum. Together they come together because when they consume food, that food itself is converted into these uh, reproductive parts. So when these two combine, they give birth to the body, right? So anna rasa neva bhutva. That is why using anna rasa, the rasa is the essence of that annam. So from that, that is the part from which new body is produced. So that shukra and shonita. Shukra, shonita represents the sperm and the egg, right? So these two, when they combine, they together produce the baby or the human body, the first beginnings of the human body. So it is born out from there, right? And then Anna Raseneva Vriddhim Prapyam. From Anna Rasa only it increases. So Anna, the food part, whenever we consume any food, from that our body starts to grow. Sometimes maybe out of proportion when we eat more than we should, right? So in this way, our body starts to grow from a very small baby. We grow up into such a big, tall person, right? So in this way, the vriddhi happens. So when what is the first part we call? It is the srishti karana. Srishti karana. Annarasane bhutva. From annam it is born. Then annarasane vriddhi prapyam. It is the sthiti karan. It is how it is maintained. The body is maintained through food. If you don't maintain food, then we will start to feel weak. We will not be able to function. And maybe if we don't do it for too long, our body will not survive. So it is dependent on Anna for its maintenance or its sthiti. And then Anna Root Prithivya Yat Viliyate. So finally, when the body has lived out its time, जब उसका समय पूर्ण हो जाता है, then that body again resolves back into the five elements. It goes back into the Prithvi, it goes back into the earth, and then it becomes from there the source for other living things to feed on it, like plants, and they grow from that, and then again those plants produce annam, and then again this cycle goes on and on. And so what is this? Yad viliyate tat Annamaya Kosha. That is called the Annamaya Kosha. That is the food sheath. And that is what is we call as commonly as the Sthula Shariram. So the three Shariram, the first one we have seen, this is how it is appearing. Sthula Shariram is the first of the food sheaths. Annamaya Kosha. So Annamaya Kosha is basically this gross body that we use to do all our daily activities, and that daily activities they are fueled by the food we consume. वो खाना हम जो खाते हैं उसी खाने से ये चलती है. That food we eat is used to make it function, right? So what is this food doing for us? It is producing energy, right? It is producing energy. So as I said, the inner one will control. So the next one is pranamaya, and pranamaya is the energy sheath, and that will control our food. Without it, this gross body cannot move, right? So the pranamaya kosha controls the gross body. So what is this pranamaya kosha? Let us look at it then. We didn't look at it in detail earlier. We can just now look at it right now. So pranamaya kaha pranadyaha panchavayavaha vagadi indriya panchakam pranamaya kosha. So pranamaya kaha pranadyaha panchavayavaha vagadi indriya panchakam pranamaya kosha. So be careful, remembering there will be something common in all of these sheets from one to the other. So right now we are just looking at the pranamaya kosha. What is this pranamaya kosha? Pran adyaha, pran adi, pancha vayavaha, the five vayus, the five airs. So what are these? Prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. The five pranas, right? So these five pranas represent the pranic sheath, the pranamaya kosha. So this is the sheath that provides the energy or the power for everything to move within us. So if we see I can see the gross body, but I cannot see the pranic body. But I can infer. How can I infer? When I actually start to see someone move, right? From that movement, I can infer that his prana is functioning, and then according to the intensity of the movement, I can see how active the prana is within that person, right? Or when I observe that person over a longer period. So this pranamaya is the force which moves all the things of the gross body. All the functions of the gross body are conducted by that. But where will it the output of this pranamaya kosha go, or of these five pranas go, that will go to the vag adi indriya panchakam. So the five organs of action, pancha karmendriyani, karmendriyani also are a part of this pranamaya kosha. So we have, what is this pranamaya kosha? Five pranas, five vagitra. So all these together combine to make this pranamaya kosha. So just I'll share another diagram here. Just look at it. So this represents, here we see the five sheets. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. So all of these represent the five koshas. They are the five sheets. We can compare them to something like the layers of a road. So the layer of the roads, the top part is the formation, the solid portion that we have formed over the road. Then below it is the foundation, a gravel foundation that we can compare to the Pranamaya Kosha. Without this foundation, nothing can hold on. Then Manomaya Kosha, there is a sub-base, lime type stabilized sub-base. And then Vijnanamaya Kosha, cement stabilized base. There is a base even below that. And then lowest, bitumen tarmac surfacing, the surfacing that is there on below the road on which everything is built. So these are the different layers. So we can compare any object and its layers to this. You can compare you can compare the layers of the skin to this. So all of these layers represent all the ways this is being covered, right? So when we looking at this pranamaya kosha, then we have the five pranas. So these five pranas are, as we have seen earlier also, and we repeat here. So maybe I'll just tell a bit more about it, but we have already seen it. So I'll not go into too much detail. So prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana. Prana represents the breathing capacity, the how we draw our breath inwards, respiration, the respiratory system. Then apana represents the excretory system, expulsion. Apanaya, that which expels, that which draws down. So it moves from top to bottom, moves in the lower parts of our body. And then samana is the digestive system, how the food moves within the body. Samikarana, it enables all the secretions to digest. And then vyana is the blood or the circulatory system within our body. It distributes all the nutrients in the body. And then udana, all the sudden actions that happen, the sneezing, suddenly I just jerk somewhere to observe something. Then, of course, finally, when the soul moves out at the time of death, or when actually the Sukshma Sharira moves out from the body at the time of death, these are the five pranas. So they all represent these five systems of our body where all movement is occurring. This movement is all prompted by these pranas, right? So prana is moving the breath of yours. It is moving anything outside of your body. It is moving all your food within you. It is moving the blood within you. It is moving anything that the body needs to reject. Even something bad you have swallowed, and you suddenly feel the urge to, vomit it out. All this is the function of Udana. So all these five pranas, they do these different functions whereby uh, the movements or the activities of the body are uh, made possible. So all of these movements help us to conduct whatever is there that we need to do, and the instrument for that becomes the gross body. So there the gross body becomes the instrument. It is being controlled or run by these five pranas. So these pranas are inner source of energy, right? So I think today the time is up. We started a bit late, but we'll wind up for today for now. Because the next one will again take more time. I think we'll continue with the rest of it from the next class. We'll wind up for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।